The Marplot by Sarah Annie Frost. Published in Parlor Charades and Proverbs. Copyright 1859. This recording is in the public domain. Cast of characters: Mr. Alfred Buttercup, a dandy; Mrs. Jerusha Middleton, Mrs. Holman; Emily Holman, Bertha Holman. Scene 1. Mrs. Holman's parlour. A table with some books, etc. upon it, a sofa, 2 chairs. Curtain rises, discovering Emily and Bertha in evening dress, seated at a table. Emily, sighing.
Ah, me.
What's the matter, Em?
I was thinking what a tiresome thing parties are in the country. We came here to rest after last winter's campaign, and we have had a continual round of gaiety ever since Mother took the house.
And country parties are so stupid when it is too warm to enjoy dancing. Besides, here one never sees...
Stops as if confused.
No, one never meets.
Stops.
Who?
Did you refer to anyone in particular?
Only...
Come, Bertha, suppose we confide in each other. I think we both have been silly enough to fall in love. I know I have.
Aside.
Dear Charlie.
I'm sure I have.
Aside.
Dear Harry.
Oh, Bertie, I am so troubled. Mother will never consent to my becoming Mrs. Charles Lovell because he is so poor. And you know by Papa's will, if we marry without her consent, we lose all our property.
My case is quite as bad. Harry has given his attention entirely to music, and you know how Mother hates all professional people. Artists or musicians are her special aversion.
Charlie and I have formed 1,000 plans, but his poverty contrives to mar them all.
Harry thinks I can assist him by my teaching, but, oh, Emily, I do not like the prospect. That's a fact. I wish Mother would come. We promised to be early at Fanny's party tonight.
Enter Mrs. Holman.
Emily and Bertha, I regret to mar your enjoyment, but you cannot join Fanny's guest this evening.
Why not?
I wish to have a little serious conversation with you. You are now of marriageable age, and it is time I had found a husband for one or the other of you.
Let it be Bertie, Mother. I have no desire to marry.
Emily has the first claim, Mother. I am very happy at home.
Hear me, children, and do not interrupt me again. Your father's partner, Mr. Buttercup, who died several years ago, left an immense property to his only child, Alfred. I have just received a letter from this son. He will pay us a short visit, and I expect him every moment. He has written to me to propose for one of my daughters, and I shall give my consent.
Emily, springing up.
Not me, Mother.
Bertha, also rising.
Oh, Mother, not me.
Upon my word, one would think I had proposed to murder you instead of giving you a handsome, wealthy suitor. Emily.
Oh, dear Mother, do not ask me to marry him.
You refuse the man before you have ever seen him. Now, young ladies, listen to me. I am not accustomed to be trifled with, and one or the other of you must accept this offer. I shall allow him to choose.
Emily, haughtily.
Upon my word, His Majesty enjoys a most unusual privilege.
Bertha, indignantly.
It will be pleasant, truly. Here are my daughters, sir. Take which one you like. You humiliate us, Mother.
Nonsense. You will each exert yourself to please him. I have met him once. He is a man of most fastidious taste and great refinement. Many would call him a dandy. I prefer to call him a perfect gentleman. Emily, you will be careful to avoid all mention of your horseback rides or long walks, as he considers those pursuits unladylike. Bertha, sing for him, and select gentle, winning airs, not those stormy bravuras you sometimes practice. It is very unfortunate that I have promised to go to Mrs. Smith's this evening to sit all night with her sick sister, but I shall return early in the morning. But you will remember all I have said.
But, Mother,
Dear Mother,
if you would only—
Not another word. I command the one he offers himself to accept him. Remember, my wishes control your fortunes. If he refuses you, I say no more.
refuses us.
Mrs. Holman, contemptuously.
He is a great admirer of beauty, and you may have all your fears for nothing. He will perhaps not fancy girls who are only fine-looking and tolerably pretty.
Fine-looking, upon my word.
Tolerably pretty indeed.
Mrs. Holman, looking at her watch.
It is time for me to go. You must receive him now, when he comes. You will pay attention to all I have said. I lay my commands upon you to comply with my wishes. I have laid my own plans, and I will not allow the silly whims of two girls to mar them. Good night.
Exit.
Too bad. If he should choose me, what would Charlie say?
Oh, Harry, what shall I do if this hateful man prefers me?
We dare not refuse him. As Mother says, her will controls our property, and Charlie is too poor for me to wish to burden him with a portionless bride. If I could only stay single till I am of age, then I may marry whom I choose.
Bertha, sadly.
Mother forbids us to mar her plans, but I wish I could do it. Oh, dear.
Sits down.
I won't marry him. There.
End of Scene 1. Scene 2. Curtain rises, discovering Bertha seated in the foreground, musing. Mrs. Meddlesome in the background, sewing.
He must come now in a few minutes. I hope I ain't wicked, but if the train ran off the track with only one passenger hurt, I could not shed a tear. Not that I would have him killed, but only break a leg or two, and have to go home again.
Enter Emily.
Well, Em, has our beau come?
Oh, Bertie, cheer up. Put aside that doleful face. I've thought of a splendid plot.
Plot, Emily?
Yes, listen. You know Mother said if he refused us, she would say no more about it. Now, as he may fancy girls who are only fine-looking,
And tolerably pretty.
we will make him refuse us.
But how, dear Emily?
Ah, now you come to my plot. Mother said he was very fastidious and dandified. Now I will pretend to be very bad-tempered and a perfect hoyden. Do you see?
Splendid. I will go crazy.
Capital. Tear down your hair.
No, someone might come in. Oh, Em, won't it be fun?
Hark! Wheels on the gravel. He has come. We will go upstairs and make a grand entree. Won't I give him a warm reception?
Exeunt Emily and Bertha. Mrs. Meddlesome, coming forward.
Pretty doings upon my word. When I was a gal, gals minded their mothers. Going crazy. A nice ladylike amusement. I'll spoil their fine plot, and when one of them is the rich Mrs. Buttercup, she'll thank me for it. I'll go send for their mother this very minute.
Exit. Enter Mr. Alfred Buttercup, carrying a small cane.
"'Pon honour, those calls are too much for a parson of delicate constitution, of fragile frame. The scream is agonizing, and the jolting is perfectly horrid. So Mrs. Holman is obliged to leave this evening to see a sick parson. Hope she won't bring any contagious disorder home. And I am to be received by the young ladies. Rather a pleasant exchange. Report says Mrs. Emily is a very magnificent creature.
Sits down.
They don't seem to be in any hurry. They are probably beautifying.
Enter Emily, in a furious passion. Not perceiving Alfred, she goes to the front of the stage and walks rapidly up and down.
Just let me lay my 2 hands on him. I'll make him rue the day he ever dared to disobey me. My poor Firefly, my pet horse, ruined, killed by that stupidity of the blockhead. I positively forbade him to ride the horse. Who ever heard of a man in his senses leaping over a high wall without knowing what was on the other side? Poor Firefly came down upon a pile of loose rocks, broke both his knees, of course, and they had to shoot him. Stupid!
Stamps her foot.
I'd like to tear his eyes out.
Alfred raises his eyeglass.
What a vehement creature!
Emily, facing him, and speaking very sweetly.
Why, Mr. Buttercup, excuse me, I did not know you had arrived. I regret that my mother was called away, but I will endeavor to supply her place.
Sits down. Alfred, rising and bowing.
With such a substitute, no one's absence can be regretted.
I am afraid I was rather violent just now. You must excuse me. I was a little provoked at the loss of a pet horse. My stupid groom
Raising her voice.
injured him so much that he had to be shot.
Rising.
It was the most outrageous piece of folly
Walks up and down.
I ever heard of. I wish I had him here, and a good strong horsewhip.
In a great rage.
I'd whip him as long as my arm would work. That stupid, ignorant, blundering, disobedient scoundrel.
Don't distress yourself so much. I dare say the fellow meant well.
Emily, contemptuously.
Meant well.
In a sweet voice again.
There, excuse me. We will say no more about it. I will forget past troubles in the enjoyment of the present moment.
Alfred bows.
Did you enjoy your ride from the city, Mr. Buttercup?
Can't say I did. It was excessively sultry, and there was a woman with a baby beside me who was exceedingly wearisome.
Who, the woman?
No, the baby. It kept calling me Pa, Pa, and actually wanted to embrace me.
Dear little innocent.
I detest babies.
I adore them. My cousin has 10, and she has promised me to let adopt some of them when we are married, dear.
Alfred, aside.
Gracious! How she does anticipate!
Aloud.
Excuse me, Miss Emily, or do I speak to Miss Bertha?
No, I am Emily. You needn't say Miss. Indeed, as we are to be married, you may say M.
You are very kind. There was another female in the cars who had a bunch of tuberoses. If my wife brought tuberoses where I was, I'd pitch them out the window, positively.
Emily, sharply.
Well, if I was your wife, I'd pitch you after them.
In a loud aside.
Oh, there's my fearful temper again.
Aloud, sweetly.
Mr. Buttercup, you are right. Tuberoses are detestable.
Alfred, aside.
What a vixen!
Aloud.
Yes, Miss Emily.
Emily, tenderly.
I said you might call me M.
Really? You overpower me.
Emily, looking about the table.
Where is my bouquet? I left it here. Somebody has stolen it. I do wish people would let my things alone.
Perhaps you took it out of the apartment.
I ain't in the habit of forgetting where I placed things, Mr. Buttercup.
Really? I beg pardon. I did not mean to offend.
Emily, in a loud aside.
Oh, if I can only keep my temper till I am Mrs. Buttercup!
Alfred, aside.
I wonder if the other sister is as energetic as this one. It is really fatiguing to listen to her.
Emily, sitting down.
Mr. Buttercup, or, what's your first name?
Alfred, tapping his boots with his cane.
Alfred.
Don't tap your boots. Those monotonous noises nearly set me frantic.
To hear is to obey.
When we are married, you must shave off your mustache. I hate a mustache.
Alfred, caressing his moustache.
You ask too much.
The hateful man refuses me my first request. I could cry with vexation.
In a loud aside.
Just a little while, sir, till I am Mrs. Buttercup.
Excuse me, Miss Emily. May I see your sister? I may prefer.
Prefer my sister?
Starting up.
Oh, was ever a woman so insulted?
I was about to say.
Don't tell me what you were about to say. I never heard of such a brute. Why don't you strike me or push me from the room? It would be all of one piece with the rest of your proceedings. Oh, I am fairly choking. Oh, you brutal!
Gracious goodness. What have you wanted?
That's right. Call me names. Don't limit your abuse, sir. Drive me out of the room.
Alfred, rising.
Well,
Oh, you needn't get up. I won't wait to be turned out. I'm going, sir. I'm going.
Exit, slamming the door. Alfred, resuming his seat.
That female is a perfect xenotype. Mercy. Such a wife would be perfectly overwhelming.
Enter Bertha.
What a sweet creature.
White is shroud as the mountain snow. Ah me, this is a weary world.
Sees Alfred.
Ah, sir, you look kind and good. Tell me,
Anything.
where is my Alfred?
Alfred, aside.
Well, I seem to be appropriated by both of them.
Aloud.
You're Alfred?
Bertha, weeping.
They have taken him away to tar and feather him.
Gracious, how excessively disagreeable.
They've torn him away from me.
Seizing Alfred by the collar of his coat and pulling him from his chair.
Ah, you it was who took him away from me. Answer me, where is my love?
Alfred, releasing himself.
Haven't the slightest idea.
Aside.
What a peculiar young woman.
Bertha, aside.
I must fly around more. He does not seem to comprehend that I am insane.
Aloud.
Ah, the world is made of brick dust, but he is a lily in the coal yard.
Aside.
Oh, ye muses, inspire me with more nonsense.
Aloud.
Ha ha! He's here! He's there! He's everywhere!
Aside.
He's nowhere.
Ah, he must be quite a lively person.
Aside.
She's crazy. I'll leave.
Goes toward the door. Bertha springs forward and locks the door.
You do not leave this room till you tell me where you have hidden him.
Ah, young woman, really, I don't know anything whatever about your Alfred.
Bertha, sitting down.
Oh, my heart is broken. The wind sighs his name, and they have changed him into a puppy dog.
Sobs. Alfred, aside.
Pleasant this. Locked up with a mad woman. This seems to be a lucid interval. I'll speak to her, and perhaps get the key.
Aloud.
My dear young woman.
Oh, tell me, where is he?
Kneels. Alfred, raising her.
Do not kneel. It distresses me, positively.
You have come. After long weary waiting, you have come at last. Oh, my love.
Alfred, aside.
I'll humour her and try to get the key.
Aloud.
Ah, yes, my dear, I have come.
Aside.
And should be most happy to go.
Was the Emperor of Russia gracious, or did the Knave of Clubs go it on a lone hand and get euchred? But you have come. All care avaunt. If you loves I, as I loves you, no knife shall cut our loves in two.
Goes forward to embrace him, Alfred, raising his cane.
Ah, excuse me.
Fiend, would you strike a woman?
Advancing toward him threateningly.
Ah, you deny the fact. Hang him! I'll tear him to pieces!
Chases him, coming forward and speaking aside.
This is getting tiresome. How can I end it? I have it. I'll drop the key.
Aloud.
Never say I did it. The willow, I'll wear it. A poor forsaken maid's best emblem.
Drops the key near door and then comes forward, facing audience.
Ha! See, above the clouds, my Alfred smiles upon me.
Alfred, aside.
What's that? The key? If she would only keep quiet.
Gets key and opens door.
Adieu.
Bertha, turning suddenly.
Ah, he escapes.
Follows him to the door and then returns, laughing.
Wasn't it funny? I don't think he'll propose to me.
Enter Emily.
Well, Em, what news?
Our plot succeeds finally. He is in the garden, walking about by moonlight, alone, and says he will never re-enter the doors where two mad women are suffered to run at large.
I am completely exhausted, Em, with my efforts. It was rather hard work. Seems to me we plot as energetically to lose our lover as some girls do to gain one.
End of Scene 2. Scene 3. Curtain rises, discovering Emily, seated.
I am rather puzzled what to do. The man cannot stay in the garden all night. It is too late to return to the city, and he will not come into the house. I have sent him a dozen messages, but he will not trust himself under the roof where Bertie and I are.
Enter Bertha.
Oh, Emily, our plot is ruined.
Ruined? How?
Aunt Jerusha heard our scheme, and she has just told Mr. Buttercup all.
That hateful old Marplot.
Enter Alfred. Alfred, with dignity.
Miss Emily and Miss Bertha, I have come to withdraw the proposals that were so distasteful to you, and to express my sincere regret at the annoyance I have caused you. I am sorry I appear so hateful.
No, no. We owe you an apology, Mr. Buttercup, for our conduct. It was no dislike to you, but...
Ah, I see. I have a rival. Had you but trusted me with your secret, if secret it is, believe me, it would have been perfectly safe, and I should never have caused you the least annoyance.
Bertha, aside.
Hang the fellow. If he goes on at this rate, I shall fall in love with him in spite of myself.
Oh, Mr. Buttercup, if you will only tell Mother you cannot like either of us.
Enter Mrs. Meddlesome. She stands back, not perceived by the others.
But I have already written to your mother. It was my father's last request for me to marry one of the daughters of his partner. But if they both refuse me...
Oh, that will never do. We have been forbidden to refuse you. You must refuse us.
What reason can I give?
Say you love another.
What? Since writing that letter yesterday?
Say you met her in the cars on your way here.
Alfred reflects. Bertha, aside.
How handsome he is. Harry, poor fellow, is not handsome. And he says he loves money better than he does love me, at any rate.
Well, I will, though.
Mrs. Meddlesome, coming forward.
Gals, I'm ashamed of you. The way you've gone on this evening is perfectly disgraceful. I'll tell your mother the whole of your cuttings up, and this last flying plot.
Oh, you will not spoil that, too.
Certain sure I will.
I see no help for it. With such an active Marplot in the family, scheming is useless. Mr. Buttercup, that is, will you, if we, you, in short, will you take me?
If you, in short, I will.
Curtain falls. End of scene 3. End of the Marplot by Sarah Annie Frost.